Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South, episode 304, Trade Wins in Tennessee. Yes. Definitely going into the season, the Tennessee Titans had acquired, different talents, retained some talents as well. But the season hasn't started the way they wanted it to. They only have one win up to this point, 1-5. So some trades have happened. We're going to get into those trades in this episode, kind of break those down and go through, the trades from both sides of each trade. And for those that aren't aware, DeAndre Hopkins was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, and linebacker Ernest Jones IV was traded from the Titans to the Seattle Seahawks. In this episode, of course, we're actually not going to do the get off your chest segment for this episode, but I just want to focus on these trades and kind of breaking down these trades for everyone, just as much as I can humanly possibly do for you. Okay. All right. So the first trade I want to break down for the Titans was, of course, the trade of DeAndre Hopkins. Now, a couple years ago, or last year, DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Tennessee Titans with a 2-year deal. Many, of course, there were plenty that were scratching their heads trying to figure out why he wanted to come to Tennessee. I know they were, Tennessee was not necessarily known for great wide receivers and things like that, but that's where he decided to sign. Hence, he signed with Tennessee last year, 1,000-yard season, despite kind of the inconsistency at quarterback, or the difference in changes at quarterback. With Ryan Tannehill to start the season, and then Will Levis to end the season. So, that kind of threw things a little bit off in terms of things for him. However, he made it work, got 1,000 yards still was a very credible threat at the wide receiver position. Now, going into this offseason, a lot of people knew that Will Levis would be the quarterback of this team for the start of this year, if not for the season. And, of course, but for those that don't know, DeAndre Hopkins did have a knee injury during the offseason in terms of the training camps, things like that. So he wasn't necessarily up to full speed when the first game started against the Chicago Bears. So, that kind of threw off, I would say, some things to start the season for him. But it just seems like it wasn't quite, everything going as smooth as, probably would wanted for DeAndre Hopkins to start the season. Him kind of not being on the field probably as much as he wanted to be on the field. The lasting picture of in Buffalo, him with just looking, relaxed, not necessarily ready to go into the game versus the Buffalo Bills. It's not saying he was just standing to the side. That's just saying that it just didn't look like he was actively a part of going out there on the field and things like that. And I don't know, that could be him, it could be coaching, it could be any of those different things. But, he just wasn't actively, chin strap buckled up, things like that, ready to go out there on the field. That was interesting. But, just to give you a quick recap of the trade, they traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Titans did, for a draft pick, which is a fifth round draft pick. But it could become a 4th-round draft pick if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, and that's a key part, and if DeAndre Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps. Now, looking at the Kansas City Chiefs and their wide receiver room, you can definitely understand why this trade was playing on their end, because looking at you've got Hollywood Brown, who they brought in from the Arizona Cardinals. And, he got injured in preseason, and he hasn't played a snap for them. He's been on injured reserve. Rashee Rice got injured versus the Los Angeles Chargers, an interception by Patrick Mahomes, and they were running it back. And, Patrick Mahomes trying to make the stop, inadvertently dives into Rashid Rice's knee, he's out pretty much for the year. You might as well say he's out for the year. They haven't, I don't think they've necessarily always said that, but he's out for the year. And then you look at the rest of the wide receivers. Xavier Worthy is a very, very fast player. However, he's still kind of learning things and kind of growing his route tree and those different things. So he's not quite there to be the route runner and things like that Patrick Mahomes can kind of depend on to get open on the third down, things like that as well that's needed. You have Justin Watson. He's solid. You have Sky Moore, very talented guy when he came out of college, just hasn't quite reached that potential. And, he just can't be necessarily depended on at wide receiver. So you bring in this veteran wide receiver to help this offense, which, by the way, hasn't necessarily looked that great in Kansas City this year. Of course, injuries is part of that, but, they need someone that's dependable. And I believe that that DeAndre Hopkins is that dependable guy that can help this offense, move the chains, things like that. One thing about DeAndre Hopkins, he does not drop a lot of passes. That is a great thing for a guy like Patrick Mahomes because, he needs someone dependable outside of Travis Kelce to help this team. And DeAndre Hopkins may be that guy. So that's essentially what happened. I mean, I suspect that, D-Hop won't take long to get acclimated to Kansas City. I'm pretty sure he's just got to get used to some of the different things that Andy Reid is probably going to put out there in terms of, alignment, that for sure. It'll take him a little bit to catch up to speed there. However, I will say that DeAndre Hopkins is a very, very smart individual. So I don't think it will take him very long at all. And, the biggest thing is he doesn't have quite the burst that he once had as a wide receiver and, taking the top off defenses, things like that. However, he is a guy that is very, very solid when it comes to running routes and just getting open. He finds a way to get open. So that's very, very key for the Kansas City Chiefs. And like I said, their offense hasn't necessarily been great this year. It's been kind of sputtering a little bit, but adding a veteran wide receiver that can get open will definitely help them. And also what will help them too is that the Titans are paying $2.5 million of DeAndre Hopkins' contract as well. So that'll also help Kansas City Chiefs because they got him, and then also the Titans paying a percentage of his deal. Now for the Titans, they did get like I mentioned, a 2025 fifth-round pick. Could become a fourth, with the incentives of 60% of the playing time, and the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, which that's not that's something that could really potentially happen. So hey, it is what it is. But the Titans, of course, it just wasn't working out. It didn't look like it was working out. I for the longest said that DeAndre Hopkins actually liked being in Nashville, from all accounts, from all the things that he's kind of put out there and said as well in terms of via social media. But I changed my tune in terms of him staying here after the Buffalo game. It just seemed like it just was the end of the road in my mind, just watching it visually. It just seemed like it was the end of the road here. And if an opportunity came about for him to be traded to a team that was actually going to, potentially be in the playoffs, that opportunity came up, he would probably be going there because his contract does expire after the end of this year. And, why let him walk and not get anything for him? Which the Titans did get something for him now with another draft pick to continue to rebuild this roster and to continue to retool this roster as well. As far as the wide receiver position now, you've got Calvin Ridley, you've got Tyler Boyd, you've got Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who with his opportunities has been good with those opportunities. And you also have a guy like Jaquan Jackson, who they brought in from Tulane. He actually has been, kickoff return guy, punt return guy for them. However, he does have the ability to potentially take top off of defenses with his speed. So it'll be interesting just to see, if he gets any opportunities playing wide receiver, or what opportunities he gets, I should say, playing wide receiver. Of course, you do have, unfortunately, Burks. Traylon Burks is on the IR with a knee injury, so there will be no opportunities for him because he is out right now. So that's where we kind of got it. That's where it kind of sits right now. Great pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs. Veteran, knows the assignments. Well, we'll know the assignments once he gets there, but he knows the assignment of what city he's going to and what he's trying to achieve with this Kansas City Chiefs team. As far as the Titans, add another draft pick. Gives you up to 7 draft picks now in the 2025 NFL draft. Also gives you, a chance to look at maybe a few other guys at wide receiver as well in terms of the young guys. Well, the young guy, I would say, Jaquan Jackson. But, Nick Westbrook-Kenny, hey, you're going to probably get more opportunities now. There's really no way that you're not on the field at this point. So, we'll see what happens there. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the other trade that happened, which is Ernest Jones IV going from the Tennessee Titans to the Seattle Seahawks. Right here on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are 2 of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off of these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get these the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, we are back on Touring the AFC South. Just went over the DeAndre Hopkins trade to the Kansas City Chiefs, and now let's talk about the other trade that happened. That would be linebacker Ernest Jones IV going from the Tennessee Titans to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this trade included a little bit more. Let me give you the backstory or the beginning of just the Ernest Jones era here in Tennessee and how quickly it ended. Now, originally, Ernest Jones Jr. Ernest Jones IV, started the season with the Los Angeles Rams. He was traded to the Tennessee Titans. They traded him, and they also got a 2026 sixth round selection as well. Now, of course, with Ernest Jones here, he was definitely a fit at linebacker, and it's a need that was there at linebacker, opposite of Kenneth Murray Jr. They were going to start Jack Gibbons at that position, which, I've went on there and talking about Jack Gibbons. I mean, Jack Gibbons is a solid player. I'm just not sure he's a starting linebacker in the NFL. That's just my thoughts. But so I definitely thought the addition of Ernest Jones IV was a great addition for the Tennessee Titans. And he showed and proved that. He's been very good against the run, a very good blitzing linebacker as well. So he definitely fit a void that the Tennessee Titans had. Just on this unfortunate, the defense has been excellent. The defense has been very, very good for the Titans. I mean, of course, they've had their moments, of course, but they've had a lot on their shoulders pretty much the entire season. But Ernest Jones IV has been very good at linebacker for the Titans. He was very good for the Titans at linebacker. Just you have the 1-5 record, things not working out the way you would think they would. So, hey, you have to look around and see if there are any other potential options. Maybe you can trade this player and get something great back in return. And that's what the Tennessee Titans did. They got a 2025 fourth-round pick for Ernest Jones, along with bringing in Jerome Baker, veteran Jerome Baker, who the Titans looked at this offseason, by the way. And he ended up signing with the Seattle Seahawks instead of signing with the Tennessee Titans. Now he ends up back in a place that was actually looking at him anyway. So it's interesting how that dynamic happened. But now Jerome Baker's here, 2025 fourth-round pick. Now you've traded for a player, and also you've acquired 2 more picks to rebuild the roster. If you're Rand Carthon, which that's how you play the game. If he didn't, and also Ernest Jones Jones IV was going to be a free agent this offseason as well. So you get picks back for players that are going to be expiring contracts, which is a good thing for the Tennessee Titans. You need as many picks as possible to either trade in the future for players potentially, or to actually, just continue to rebuild the roster, rebuild and retool the roster to get it back to where, you want it to be. So with this addition, with this subtraction, I should say, they were able to bring in a veteran linebacker whose deal expires at the end of this year to be Jerome Baker, and then bring in also another pick that you can add to your stash of picks to kind of replenish those as well. So that's a good move in that aspect as well. But, he definitely was a guy that you definitely knew that he was on the field. You knew that Ernest Jones IV was on the field. You knew he was going to make a play, and he made plenty of those while he was here with the Tennessee Titans. Unfortunately, wasn't enough plays to get them in the W column. But I'm not saying it's all on him, because it isn't. It's a team game. But, hey, the move happened. Didn't happen. The Titans didn't, I guess, benefit in terms of win-wise from the move of bringing in Ernest Jones IV. So, hey, got to move on. Got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, as the gambler would say. So it is what it is. The Titans moved on. So, one good thing for the Titans here, just to take a look at, is Cedric Gray. Cedric Gray has been on the IR. He's the 4th-round pick out of North Carolina. He's been on the IR, I believe, with a shoulder injury for pretty much, the entire year. And, I believe he had his window open. So potentially he could, you could see him on the field potentially the end of this year or beginning of next year. And, I know a lot of Titans fans were excited when they drafted Cedric Gray. So it'll be interesting to get to see a look at him and see if he can fill that role of being the linebacker opposite of Kenneth Murray Jr. So that'll be interesting. And also will be interesting to see, the linebackers that get to play now that Ernest Jones IV is now here. You have an Otis Reese, who's an athletic linebacker. You have a James Williams, who's a converted safety to linebacker from the University of Miami. You have Jack Gibbons as well. He's been a guy in there, and now he's, I guess, going to probably jump back into that starting role at this point. It'll just be interesting to me just to see how they integrate the younger guys, or Cedric Gray's ready, how they integrate him into that either starting lineup or as a backup as well. It's just it'll be interesting just to see how things fold and unfold for the Tennessee Titans at that linebacker spot. Kind of flip over to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, Mike Macdonald, for those that don't know, was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens last year. And, of course, he's the new head coach for the Seattle Seahawks now. He loves having linebackers that are aggressive, that can make things happen. And Ernest Jones fits the bill for exactly what they need. Now, at the linebacker position for them now, they had Terrell Dodson, and they, of course, had Jerome Baker. Now, I like Terrell, but he is from the Middle Tennessee area. I went to his football camp. Actually, it was season or a couple seasons ago, a couple off seasons ago, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but yeah. So I actually met him, talked to him. I actually covered one of his games in high school when he played for Centennial High School in Franklin, Tennessee. So I actually, I've met him, talked to him, seen him play up close and personal. Yeah, there you go. But I think Ernest Jones IV is a better fit linebacker for them and what they want to do. He definitely is a guy that can make some things happen, can blitz, it's tough in the run as well. And that is where Seattle needs the most help, because Seattle is in the bottom 5, if not right there, in run defense. They're pretty bad. They're right there by the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are not great in stopping the run either. So to add Ernest Jones IV to that is a great thing for the Seattle Seahawks, and it can help them moving forward against some of the teams they're going to have to face. I mean, look at the way the 49ers ran the football against them on Thursday Night Football a couple weeks ago. That tells you all you need to know about the running, the linebacker position there, and the ability to fill gaps and things like that. Now, I'm not saying it's all on the Seattle linebackers, but I think Ernest Jones can help clean up some of those different things, provided he fits in that system, which I believe he will. And we'll see what happens out there with that. Just definitely a gritty player that they needed to add to that team and to potentially help their playoff chances, or their playoff thoughts, I should say, as well. So now the Titans, 1-5, moving forward, getting more picks, and hey, you got to do what you got to do. And here it is going forward. And I got a comment from the touring the AFC South inbox from Mr. Matthew Maddox. He said that was the best move for the team in both trades. Hey, if you're 1-5, you got to make some moves. You got to change up some few things, and you may as well get some value for the pieces that are probably not going to be here the next year. And then also he said that's how you rebuild the right way. Yeah, that's how you try to rebuild the right way. We will only see when those picks happen how it turns out. But of course, there's plenty of stories about how picks turn out to be great pieces to championship teams. I mean, we can go back to all the way to Herschel Walker getting traded to the Minnesota Vikings, how that helped rebuild the Dallas Cowboys. We can talk about that too, but of course that's way back. But definitely wanted to come on this episode and talk about the Titans moves, the trade wins, DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs, Ernest Jones IV to the Seattle Seahawks. But what I would also say is if you listen to any of the press conferences, if you're a Titans fan, you listen to any of the press conferences, or if you're just an NFL fans and you listen to maybe the Titans press conference and Brian Callahan, I would say, there is no maybe there may be moves happening. There may be other moves happening. I mean, potentially could happen that there are more players that are traded from this roster. Just take a look at the guys that are on expiring contracts, perhaps. That may be where there may be more moves happen. I'm not putting it in a crystal ball, but I'm just saying, I mean, there could be some people moving, some more people moving, potentially. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82 on the artist formerly known as Twitter. Of course, Word to Prince, one of the greatest artists of all time. You can also find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. You can also find Touring the AFC South on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. We're out. Peace.